In May 2026, Fortune published an article with the headline that hit a nerve across the entire country. Burned out and going nowhere, the American worker is too mentally drained to even look for a new job. Read that again. Not too drained to do the job, too drained to even look for a better one. We've reached a strange new place. Millions of workers are unhappy, underpaid, and exhausted, and yet completely stuck. They don't have the energy to job hunt. They don't have the savings to quit. They don't have the mental bandwidth to plan an exit. They just endure. Now here's the thing, this isn't a new problem. A book published in 1992, over 30 years ago, diagnosed this exact trap with stunning precision. The book is Your Money or Your Life by Vicki Robin and Joe Dominguez, and today I'm going to review it honestly. What it gets right, what's aged, and whether its solution actually works in the burned out economy of 2026. Welcome to Earnings Per Page, where I distill the world's best finance books into honest breakdowns. Hit subscribe. Let's get into it. First, the core idea, and it's a powerful one. The title isn't poetic, it's literal. Your money or your life. The book's central argument is that when you go to work, you're not actually trading your time for money. You are trading your life energy for money. Every hour at a job is an hour of your finite, irreplaceable life. And the book asks one brutal question. Are you getting your life's worth of fulfillment for the life energy you're spending? For most people, the honest answer is no. Lesson 1. Calculate your real hourly wage. The book asks you to do an uncomfortable exercise. Take your salary, then subtract every cost that exists only because you have that job. Commuting costs, the car you need to commute, work clothes, lunches out, the decompression spending, the things you buy just to recover from work stress, the vacations you need just to survive the year. Now add the hours, not just 40. Add the commute, the getting ready. The mental overtime where you can't stop thinking about work. When you recalculate, the person who thinks they earn $40 an hour often discovers their real hourly wage is 20 or 15 or less. This single calculation reframes everything. Lesson 2. The fulfillment curve. This is the book's most important concept. Robin and Dominguez describe a curve. As you spend money on basic needs, food, shelter, safety, your fulfillment rises sharply. Then you spend on comforts, fulfillment keeps rising. Then on a few luxuries and fulfillment peaks. But then something critical happens. Past a certain point, more spending actually decreases fulfillment. More stuff means more clutter, more maintenance, more debt, more stress. The book calls the peak of that curve enough. Enough is the point of maximum fulfillment, where you have everything you need and the right amount of what you want, with nothing in excess. Modern psychology completely backs this up. We covered it in the Psychology of Money breakdown. The inability to define enough is the most dangerous financial trap. This book mapped it 30 years ago. Lesson 3. Money equals life energy. Once you accept that money is just stored life energy, every purchase changes. That $200 gadget isn't $200. If your real hourly wage is $20, that gadget costs you 10 hours of your life. The $50,000 car costs you 2,500 hours over a year of working life. The book makes you ask before every purchase, is this thing worth the hours of life I'm trading for it? Sometimes yes, often no. Lesson 4. Track every cent and find your crossover point. The book's practical core is a 9-step program. Track every single dollar in and out. Convert it all into life energy hours. Then chart it monthly. And here's where it gets powerful. The book introduces the crossover point. As you save and invest, your investments start generating income. The book asks you to chart that investment income on the same graph as your monthly expenses. At some point, the two lines cross. The moment your investment income exceeds your expenses, you are financially independent. You no longer have to work for money. That crossover point is the entire goal. This book, by the way, is the foundation of the entire modern FIRE movement. Financial independence, retire early. Millions of people in the 2020s owe their entire framework to this 1992 book. Now, the honest part. What the book gets wrong or what's aged. Let me be straight with you. First, the original 1992 investment advice is genuinely outdated. The book recommended putting your savings into US Treasury bonds for safe income. In 1992, treasuries paid high interest. Today, that advice would barely beat inflation. The good news, the updated editions corrected this and now acknowledge index fund investing. Make sure you read a current edition, not a 1992 copy. Second, the book underestimates how much external costs have risen. When this book was written, healthcare, housing, and education were dramatically more affordable relative to income. The math of reaching the crossover point was simpler. In 2026, with housing costs and medical costs where they are, reaching financial independence is genuinely harder than the book's optimistic tone suggests. Third, and this is the big one, the book can read as slightly privileged. The advice to simply reduce expenses and track your life energy works beautifully if you have surplus income to redirect. For someone working 2 jobs just to cover rent, the very burned out worker in that Fortune headline, there may be no fat left to cut. Their problem isn't overspending, it's that wages haven't kept up with survival costs. The book's framework is still useful for them, but the timeline to freedom is far longer and the tone doesn't always acknowledge that. Now, does the solution actually work for the burned out worker of 2026? Here's my honest take. The diagnosis is perfect. The book explains exactly why people feel trapped. They've scaled their lifestyle and debt to match their income, so quitting feels impossible, which means the job owns them. The reframe is genuinely life-changing. Seeing money as life energy will change how you spend, permanently. But the solution requires margin, even a small amount of surplus income to begin building toward the crossover point. If you have any margin at all, even $50 a month, this book gives you the most powerful framework in existence for slowly buying back your freedom. If you have zero margin, the book is still worth reading for the mindset, but the real fix has to start with increasing income, not just tracking expenses. Final verdict: should you read your money or your life? Yes, and especially right now, if you're feeling that burned out, trapped feeling that's spreading across the country, it's one of the most genuinely transformative finance books ever written. It won't just change your budget, it changes your entire relationship with work time and what money is actually for. My rating, 9 out of 10. The 1 point off is for the dated specifics and the occasionally privileged tone, but the core idea that money is life energy and the goal is to reach the crossover point where you're free is timeless, and it's never been more relevant than in 2026. If you take one thing from this video, before your next purchase, calculate how many hours of your life it actually costs. That one habit changes everything. If this resonated, subscribe to Earnings Per Page. Next week, I'm breaking down a book about how to actually increase your income, because as we just covered, for a lot of people, that's where real freedom has to begin. Drop a comment. What's your real hourly wage after you subtract all the hidden costs? See you in the next one.